super kind of old school studio.
I like it.
It's dope. I like it. Are we recording?
Yeah, just use it. You can get the timer too.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay. Let me make sure. Okay, we're going to start this. Are you ready to go? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, wait. Do you think you could maybe? Yeah,
We forgot the tripod today.
No, that's cool.
It's not even that. It's not even anything with the tripod.
Oh, really?
It's just like the last time when we did the Matthias one, he was looking that way.
Oh,
Like
gotcha.
he was, yeah. So that's it. That's it.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, all right. So I'm going to start this in about 3, 2, 1. Good evening and welcome to a very special segment of the DJ Lucky Minute Show. I'm here with Chris from Indy CBD Plus, and we're going to ask him some questions about CBD and the industry as a whole. So, Chris, thank you so much for coming on my show.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me.
So, what is Indy CBD Plus?
Man, that's a complicated question.
Well, just off the bat, I mean, what is the company and?
It is a CBD retailer on the southern side of Indianapolis, just south of 465. Major intersection is Madison and Thompson.
Gotcha. So, what kind of services does your company provide?
Our job is to bring the highest quality CBD products from anywhere in the world that are meeting Indiana's requirements of 0.3% of the legal limit of THC. So that's our job. That's our mission.
Gotcha. So, how did this company start? What was the first kind of thing that led you to getting into the CBD business and that kind of stuff?
Well, I have been in cannabis basically, more than half my life. Started at a young age with some friends out in California. Born and raised here. Moved out there with some buddies, did some things. And I always said that I would come back to Indy, being born and raised here, love this state, that as soon as Indiana had a cannabis law or something in place, that I would start a business of sorts here. CBD being the first thing. They had some issues in 2017. 2018 they made things correct, and that was our time to come in and open up Indy CBD Plus.
So you started with the cannabis and then that led you to CBD. So do you plan to just stay in CBD, or with future legislation are you trying to move towards more?
If you are really in this industry or any industry, you have to adapt and you have to vertically integrate. So being involved with cannabis means that you're involved with both hemp and marijuana, and you offer all the cannabinoids that your state will allow you to offer. So Indy CBD Plus will stay CBD based and hemp based. So to answer your question, yes, we do have a plan, but it's separate from Indy CBD Plus.
Gotcha. So I kind of want to backtrack because there's a lot of words being thrown around with cannabis and CBD and stuff like that. So what is CBD?
Okay, CBD stands for cannabidiol. It's one of the many cannabinoids that we've discovered in science that come from the cannabis plant. There's roughly, we've heard 120, we've heard 130 plus. It's easy to say, 100 plus cannabinoids come from the cannabis plant. The difficult thing for most people to understand is that cannabis means hemp and marijuana. The only differentiation between hemp and marijuana is the level of THC. Our federal farm bill in 2018, sets a requirement of Delta 9 at 0.3%, which is just, standard THC. And when it comes to marijuana, that's the stuff that you've heard of before, OG Kush, Gorilla Glue, Bruce Banner number 3. All those are going to have THC levels of the upper 20s, and that differentiates your two from each other.
So what is the overlying contrast between CBD and cannabis itself, like THC?
Well, the easiest way, I guess, to put it is that CBD and THC come from the plant. So everybody is focused on the chemical, the CBD, the THC, but it comes from a harmless plant, and humans abuse things, as we all know. So we have stigmas, we have regulation that is necessary. So you have one thing that's the plant, and that's the cannabis, and then you have stuff that comes from the plant, and that's the cannabinoids. That'd be similar to the cells in our body.
Gotcha. So what kind of CBD products do you offer?
Well, we believe that you need to offer different vehicles, which is the different methods of CBD. So we have CBD topicals, we have CBD vape products, we have CBD oils, we have CBD edibles, we have CBD suppositories. There are new products emerging all the time, actually like weekly, sometimes daily with some companies, and we carry everything under the gamut in those categories.
Gotcha. I'd like to touch real quick on how are you sourcing these products?
Well, I forgot pet products. CBD pet products, those are real awesome too. But the way that we source these, every store is going to be unique in that decision. Our decision is made by myself. In my years of being in this industry, I've kind of had an easy eye for what is and isn't a quality product. Now, our state requires a lab test and a QR code on all of our products, so now anyone can look at a lab sheet and determine what is and isn't a good product. But you want to look for high quality CBD. You want to look for a lab sheet that matches the label on the product that you're purchasing. You want to look for a company that has a good track record, that doesn't have any blemishes, because this industry is still new. So if somebody is being reported for having pesticides and they've only been in business for maybe a couple years, that's a red flag. Now, that doesn't mean that they're damned for life, but it's definitely something to take into consideration.
Gotcha. So with those products, is the milligram scale that you use on it, is it kind of constant with all of them, or is it differentiating with the product?
Yes, so every product has a different milligram dosage with it, and that is because certain people require certain amounts. Some people require less, some people require more, and so they have to make products according to that.
Gotcha. So what are some of the main uses that you see with people that purchase your products and use your products?
Man, the main reasons that people come into the store, they want to discuss how to help themselves with stress, chronic pain, anxiety, depression, some insomnia, but the insomnia is really because of the anxiety. You know, you lay in bed all night. Some people, your insomnia is because of your pain. So if you find a way to address your stress and your chronic pain, your sleep is going to improve naturally. So that's one set of little bylaws, kind of, I guess, if you will.
So following along with that and the uses that you commonly see, what are the demographics that you would report with your kind of thing, like age? I mean, what kind of stuff?
Oh, for sure. That's a very good question. And the demographic is any mammal or any vertebrate on the planet. And we all have an endocannabinoid system. And it's actually wasn't really discovered until there's some arguing between 92 and 96 is when this was all discovered. So young, old, male, female, it doesn't really matter. The majority of the people that do come and shop in CBD stores do happen to be people between the ages of 19 and late 30s. And that's because that generation of individuals seem to be a little bit more hip to the understanding of cannabis. Some folks that are a little bit older, they are a little bit hesitant at first, especially with THC products. And then through just a proper education on science and the benefits of it, people usually turn their opinions around.
Gotcha. Okay, we'll be able to edit, so I'm just trying to jump around to see what we should do next. So I guess I kind of just want to jump to now, how are these CBD products interacting with normal medications that you would see?
That's a very good question too. So we have been open for a year and a half plus, and what we have learned from customers, what we've learned from brands, what we've learned from our own research is you have statin drugs, which are older heart medications, not widely used today. Those can interfere with CBD. Also, some liver medications can interfere with CBD. And also, if you take a bunch of prescriptions, so you take, 9 prescriptions and you want to start using CBD, and let's say they're not any medications to do with liver or to do with, statin drugs, your CBD actually slows your liver down from processing chemicals. So in an essence, if you're taking a lot of medications, then we would not recommend that you start taking CBD. You would need to definitely, consult your doctor and as to see if it would be a reasonable thing for you to try, because you don't want to get more sick from using, an all-natural product.
Are most doctors that you've talked to and worked with on board with CBD as an option for people?
That they're 50-50. I mean, that may even be like not a fair number to say. The ones that know about it, they are all about it, and they send people to the stores unofficially, of course. And the ones that aren't really about it, they are closed-minded, it seems, and some of them don't want to have the conversation. But I have heard it go both ways. I've heard people come into our store and then they go to see the doctor, and the doctor tells them, that's awesome, keep going. And then I've had some people tell them that, hey, you can't continue to do that because you're going to eventually test positive for THC, and we have to have you drug-free for these other prescriptions that you have in your life. So I would say all in all, it's open. It's warm. It's a warm acceptance because society is understanding that there are some other options available, and you don't just have to go to a doctor and take prescription drugs anymore.
Gotcha. Yep, I love that. All right, so I want to take this first little time to thank, of course, My Pet Carnivore for hosting us on this fine day. Located at 1402 South Shelby Street, they offer raw pet food options to dog and cat owners in 48 states. And I also like to thank 91.9, of course, for hosting this show. Please visit our website at 919witt.org to donate using PayPal, as any contribution you make will directly support our station here. So in this next segment, I kind of want to jump into, I believe at Holler on the Hill, we kind of talked about your part in legislation around Indy with CBD and stuff like that. Do you mind touching on that?
Yeah, sure. So the politics are interesting. Indiana is a delicate state for cannabis.
For sure.
We are not really necessarily looking to have any lesser quality or lesser image of our city, and some people think that if we're all running around with medical marijuana that our city is going to decline in some way. Because of that, we have worked on the hemp and the things that are focusing on building the economy for our agriculture state.
Yeah.
We're predominantly farmers. Hemp is the best solution to get everybody involved because there's food, fuel, and fiber to be made from it, plus CBD. The main groups involved with the legislation here is the Midwest Hemp Council and the INHIA, and those two groups do a whole lot. They did just successfully take the state of Indiana to court in a battle over smokable hemp. We did actually win that and turned it around. We can now sell smokable hemp again. We've seen some other laws change, no longer being prosecuted for marijuana charges in our state, in our city, county, and under 28 grams is no longer a direct arrestable offense. So we have some good things going on. It's technically not where I would like to see us yet personally, but we're making steps in the right direction, and I'm still really proud to call this my home state.
Of course.
So those are the groups you want to be involved with: Midwest Hemp Council and INHIA, and definitely watch, Indy CBD Plus. We try to engage the community. We try to get as many people to come out because these are our laws. These are the laws that you are going to have to live with, and I'm going to have to live with. And if you don't like them, literally, you need to come down to the State House and hang out. And it's really peaceful. It's intimidating at first, it's like, well, what's going to happen? Well, you just literally sit there and hang out, and you listen to people talk, and if you have a chance to speak, you speak out.
Right, of course. I love that kind of activism, and so I do want to backtrack with this.
Sure.
You mentioned agriculture and farming, so what kind of products can hemp provide?
Man, so many. So many. So clothing, that's one. Rope is one. Food, you can eat the hemp seeds, can create protein. Of course, you have CBD, which we all know. The other things that are lesser known is you can make hempcrete out of it. You can make lumber from fiber, which is stronger than any of the lumber that you get from a tree, and it's a definitely much faster renewable resource than a tree. You can obviously plant more per square foot than you can trees. So there's just so many, and I think that's why we have some hurdles, is because there's a lot of different applications we can use this for, and most people think that it's just about smoking marijuana, and there's so many solutions to everyday problems.
There's a way bigger picture than that always. So
it's the modern day buffalo in the essence. It can all be used.
Right, of course. Are you also, now that with CBD flower and that kind of stuff, are you using a lot of local farmers to help with that?
Yes, actually, again, back to I love this state, and I want to see us do well, and I want to see us be back on top where we were back in the 1930s. So I try to buy everything local. I try to promote other people that I know that own farms, that own businesses, to jump on this train, because this is a way to diversify your funds if you're a business owner, if you're a farmer. You can continue to grow your corn or your soybeans or whatever you're out there doing, tomatoes, just add an acre or two of hemp.
Right.
You can sell it in smokable form, you can start a website, you can sell it in biomass to someone who's going to process it into oil. You can grow fiber really tall and long and sell it to someone in another state that's going to process it for you into paper or into a clothing, or, you know, I mean, there's so many options. It's just a Google search away.
Yep. Let me make sure. Shoot. I want to make sure I touch on everything.
Price.
Do you have what?
The price.
Oh yeah, I did want to touch on that. So why do we find that most CBD products are kind of pricey? Would you like to touch on that?
Yeah, so the pricing right now with CBD products is dependent upon where you are, like with your source. So if you are someone who gets it direct from the manufacturer, you're going to pay a price. If you're someone who is a distro, which means you buy more in bulk, you're going to get it from another price. If you're talking about for the retail customer, you know, on the end, who's buying it at CVS and buying it at Indy CBD Plus, those numbers are going to be based on what the product costs to produce, market, and be carried at a store level. If you're comparing CBD oil to your prescription hydrocodone from your pharmacist, then you are going to be dissatisfied with the amount of money that you're paying. You can get a prescription for $10 to $20 that's going to last you a month, and you can buy a CBD oil bottle for around $125 that's going to also last you a month. And I get that. Nobody wants to spend $125 when you can spend $20. But this is about a quality of life, and for me, my cost doesn't really matter when it comes to the quality of life and wellness that I'm trying to achieve.
Does location matter in relevancy to price?
So
I feel like I just find there's like small CBD shops popping up in small towns, and just kind of like, I mean, more rich places like Carmel and that kind of stuff. Does it matter?
No. So okay, that's a kind of multiple question. So every store owner has a manufacturer's suggested retail price, and then they have the price that they have to sell it at to stay in business.
Okay.
The bigger the store you have, the higher chance that they're going to have a markup. I mean, you have a rent, you have payroll, you have all those kinds of things.
Yep.
But small town versus a big town, that shouldn't matter. The price is really going to be based on that store owner and what they need to stay open and operate.
Gotcha. So I think we have one more segment.
Sure.
I wanted to touch on vaping, because with the new studies that are coming out with all these vaping products, and same with black market ones, what are your opinions on that?
So that is, there's nothing wrong with vaping. There is nothing wrong with CBD cards. There's nothing wrong with THC cards. The problem that we have here is that Big Tobacco has an issue with the vaping industry. Big Tobacco bought Juul over the summer for $35 billion. I think a lot of people forgot about that move, and that is solely, in my opinion, the reason for what we have going on. We've been vaping. I'm not personally a vapor, but I've watched the industry, and there hasn't been any illnesses up until just now. And Juul was just purchased over the summer. Now, let's not miss the other important points, though. There does need to be regulation. There
Yep.
does need to be nationwide standards for testing. Every state can avoid this black market THC vaping issue by having medical marijuana and having regulations.
Yep.
Then you can cut out the risk of people tainting these medical cards for no reason.
So you find the biggest problem is probably with the black market influence and that kind of thing?
I think that the big problem is that the e-cigarette company took a big chunk out of big tobacco. I honestly think that's what we're talking about here. I have not heard of anybody. Let's say I was a black market business.
Mm-hmm.
What's the advantages of tainting my product and making people sick and die?
That's true.
If I want to stay in business because this is what I'm going to do, then it would be not advantageous for me to sell a bad product. If anything, I would want my product to be better than anyone else's around, so I would probably make it even more potent,
Yep, that makes sense.
or make it tastier or prettier.
Gotcha. So this is, of course, going to be jumped around. I'm going to edit this question into
No
it
big
because I
deal.
wanted to make sure I touch on this before we run out of time. But what are the contrasts and effects between cannabis and CBD? As in, like, I mean, because I know THC is psychoactive and that kind of thing. What are the contrasts between the two?
So the science on those two is THC focuses on your CB1 receptors, which are mainly in your head, which is why you get a high feeling. CBD mainly focuses on your CB2 receptors, which are in your body, in your guts, in your bones. And that's exactly the difference between those two.
Okay. Gotcha. So also, does it matter if CBD is extracted from cannabis or industrial hemp?
Okay, great question. In the state of Indiana, yes it does. In the other states, no it does not. Well, let me clarify that. In medical marijuana states, it does not matter what your oil is made from. In states that do not have medical marijuana, it must be hemp derived. So here in Indiana, everything comes from a hemp plant. If you go out to California or Colorado and you try Papa's in Barkley or Care by Design, those are made from cannabis oil because that's what they have readily available. People just started growing hemp literally within the last 3 years, pretty much.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I think we're basically at the end of it. What would you like to, as your message as Indy CBD Plus, what would you like to say to the people listening?
Man, try CBD. Try CBD. If you've tried it, get your parents to try it, get your friends to try it. It's an all-natural product, and it can do things for you that you may not have thought were possible before. I know that we wouldn't be able to be open for this long if we weren't changing people's lives.
Of course. Where can people find you?
Our address is 5144 Madison Avenue, suite number 5. But if you just come down 2 blocks south of Thompson Avenue on Madison, you'll see us on the right-hand side. You can follow us on social media. We always have promotions and new products and things going on. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Our Google Maps account is pretty thorough with photos. We also have a website, indycbdplus.com. And we've been working on a second location for you guys. It'll be on the north side. We'll disclose that information once we get closer to opening day.
That's wonderful. Chris, thank you so much for coming, man. I really appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is really awesome.
Awesome. Cool.